Hello everyone, welcome to the next Vigor map tutorial video, and welcome to the brutal valley of Kjerstin. Kjerstin is the latest map in Vigor. It was released in season 11. It's a large map with a lobby of 9 to 12 players, and it is a brutal map to play on. The map is pretty much a dam with a valley in front of it. It's got some houses and also a mountain part next to it. This isn't a lovely Brodalen. This is a very brutal map. It was designed very well by the developers, and it is designed for conflicts right from the start. So let's get started. As usual, we start with a points of interest overview. A lot of them spawn south and west. Sometimes a few will spawn a bit more north near the Store Le Granden, but in general expect everything to be in the south and western part of the map. Timed save, only marked twice on this map, but can spawn at multiple locations inside the dam. Going for timed inside the dam is not per se the best choice. The corridors are very narrow, and if there are 2 or 3 people inside there, it can be a messy encounter. If you do go for the save, move quickly. The dam has limited paths to get in and out, and people are notified when you open timed save, so they will know where you are. This basically means that the amount of points of interest on this map is actually very low, if timed save is one of them. So you can expect a lot more interest than usual for whichever spawns second. If barred house and container are the points of interest, then they have a very big chance of spawning close to each other. Even in that scenario, you can expect more competition than you would on other maps for these points of interest. Next up, loot distribution on this map. Loot is pretty good here. The southern buildings, Biff Manor, Plant Laboratory are all great locations to find resources. You'll find a bit of everything on this map, but this map is very good for fertilizer in particular. You can collect up to 150 of these in one game if you know where to go. Biff Manor, the fields next to it, the Appelhuis, and in the gardens of the southern houses is where you will find most of these. The dam itself is a good spot for fuel and chemicals, together with the plant laboratory. Not an insane amount to be found, but you will get decent stack sizes. Outlanders Camp, Vista of St. Macon, and Store Le Granden are good spots for wire and nails. For glass and metal, you will just go through the houses and find plenty of those as well. You will also be able to collect a lot of food on this map. In between the trees, you will have a lot of mushrooms that spawn and bushes, and these give you about 2 food per bush or per mushroom, and you can collect quite a few of those to boost your loot per encounter. If you watched the previous videos, you will probably notice a similar pattern here like on Fisk. Most of the good stuff is located south and west, together with the majority of the points of interest. Unlike Fisk, you will also be able to find a little bit of loot outside of the main playing field. Moving on to the spawn locations. As always, these may not be all the known spawn locations. This is just to give you a general idea of where you and other players can spawn. Most of these are quite accurate. As you can see, there is a heavy concentration on the south and west side of the map. This will reflect in the Hotzones later in the video as well. Spawning up north sets you up for a slightly softer start of the encounter and the chance to enter the dam as first. So unlike Fisk, you don't per se spawn far away from the playing field. Most of the time you will spawn right into the action. That's why I call this a brutal map. You spawn into the game with at least 2 enemies close by. This map really is the most dangerous in the first 2 to 3 minutes of the gameplay due to the heavy concentration of players in the south and west. Also, the points of interest spawns are designed to attract people and provoke conflicts very early in the game. Later in the video, you will also see that this map has a heavy forced flow of player movement and restrictions. So the combination of the points of interest, loot and player spawns means that this is a map where you need to push early if you want to get some loot. Waiting too long will have you picking up leftovers, so hit early and hit hard on this map. Signals, always an important part of our videos. Understanding how the location of signals affects gameplay can make a big difference in your playstyle. So there are 6 potential spawning locations for signals here. Jen's Family Guard and the two near Plant Laboratory are probably the ones that impact the gameplay the most. These three locations give you a lot of control over the western area and a part of the southern area. The one near the Appelhaus gives you control over the southern part, which is a huge advantage in the first 4 minutes of the game. The one on the hill of Store Le Grandin is only useful if Bard spawns there or if the airdrop is in that area. It has very little effect on the playing field because by the time the user has reached you in the south or the west, you should be long gone. Going back to signals up there is also very time consuming because of the forced movement flow, and you're also going uphill all the time. The last one is at the dam. This one is actually quite neutral to the gameplay. The only thing you need to worry about is somebody sniping you from the dam if you are near the plant laboratory area. Campers also like to use that one to see if they can cut off players at the western exit. Besides that, it's not a useful location in my opinion. Players that use it need to move too far around to get into the playing field. But the three at the plant laboratory and Jen's Family Guard, they are definitely the ones that impact gameplay the most. Next up are the Hotzones. As expected, the Hotzones are pretty much the whole southern area and plant laboratory early game. Biff Manor will also be a conflict location between two players usually. Store Le Grandin, it depends on the points of interest and signals. Not much else to say that hasn't been said yet. So I also like to talk a little bit about the dynamics of the maps. So for Kjerstin, it's a pretty straightforward dynamic. You spawn into the game, you're in the hot zone right away, and you go and secure your little area first. You get into your first conflict, usually a second one, and then you can say, okay, I'm safe to loot. Don't spawn in and go straight for looting, because then you usually end up being somebody else's kill. So those first 3 to 4 minutes are very essential in securing the map. You don't have to secure the entire map, but if you can secure that portion that you want to loot or where the point of interest is, then you can probably get out with the loot. That doesn't mean that after 3 or 4 minutes that it's usually safe to just wander about, but this is a type of map that usually does not have a lot of players left when the airdrop is coming. Most of the time there will be maybe 4 or 5 people left when the airdrop lands. And maybe it sounds like I'm contradicting myself again, because I said before you need to hit hard and early if you want to get loot. But with that I really mean you need to hit hard and early on other players, because everybody is concentrated in that one area. And you can't just hide and wait until those people leave the area, because then they will have taken all the loot with them. Something new here, movement limitations. I did this on battery to show you the bunker walls and how they could affect your positioning. But for Kjerstin, I found it more important to explain this a little bit. The developers have put a lot of effort into movement restriction and movement flow on this map. This is not the type of map where you can go anywhere, anytime like on Brodalen. You need to be aware that you can put yourself in bad locations and get yourself trapped really. Especially the south of the Appelhaus and Jen's Family Guard are two places where you may feel like it's open, but the terrain layout actually traps you in a disadvantaged location. Definitely be aware of these green hedges. Experienced players will know these and hate these. You can't go over them, you can't go through them, but people can see you across them and they can shoot through them. And there are a lot more of these restrictions built into the map around the mountain area, but also the bridge in front of the dam. I marked some of them with blue lines on the map, but there are definitely a lot more. There's just too many to map them all out, and it's impossible to remember all of them. And these blue lines only represent the hard limitations, the things you really can't go over. You can only jump down from them. But this map is also full of softer limitations, like the white picket fences where you can jump over. Those are a type of restriction as well. Sure, you can go over them, but that takes time, that makes you exposed, it slows you down. All of that is designed to make you move in a certain direction or a certain path. So it's important, not just for this map, but for all of the maps, that you learn to recognize these type of restrictions. and see them while you move around in an area, or if you're going to move into a new area. Like one of the houses south of the Appelhuis has a green hedge around it. And players who are at the top of the Appelhuis have a very good viewpoint on you if you are in there. Your exits, however, are limited, and you have no real cover besides going around the house. But like I said earlier, at the start of the game there will be more than one player near you. So you're going to get third-partied if you're in a shootout with somebody who's above you. In general, you want to have some high ground on this map. Don't let the prospect of loot trap you in one of these buildings early game if you haven't secured the area yet. Last part of this video, as always, are the exits. You know I like to spend some time on these. If you don't exit, all your effort is lost. Okay, so this map has 5 exits, which is plentiful, but they are not all as favorable. First exit is to the west, marked in red because this is the least favorable exit in my opinion. It has a long corridor in front of it, it's very bottlenecked, and a lot of trees for exit campers to hide behind. It's also very dark for some reason, and it's far away from other exits. If radiation hits you and you are confronted with an exit camper, then you will probably not reach the nearest exit in time unless you have iodine and caffeine on you, and no stamina penalty for carrying too much. I'm not saying this is a bad exit, but it is camped a lot, and if you want to use this one, do not wait until radiation hits you unless you are sure it's clear by either using signals or bolts, for example, or some special tactic with an alarm trap. Next exit is the south one, also a bit prone for exit campers because it has a lot of trees and it goes a bit uphill. So the campers have an advantage over you. It's also close to the playing field with all the loot, so campers just like to use it as a cheap kill tactic, but it is closer to other exits. Last are the 3 in the northeast, east and southeast. These 3 are a bit more open. The north and southeast ones still have some camping issues where you need to be aware of, but the one in the very east is pretty open, and if signal spawns near Store Legranden or Appelhuis, then you can use that to secure your exit first. If there is a camper at any of these 3, I would suggest to just take another one. Definitely plan your exit and start your exit run in time. If you're not going for the airdrop, leave early if you have loot. If you are going for the airdrop, definitely have an exit plan in mind. Radiation is something you need to be aware of. You do not want to be in the middle of the map when radiation hits you already. Be aware from what side it's coming, be aware what exit you want to take and what direction you are going to. Don't underestimate the time it takes to cross the mountain area. You are going uphill a lot and there's a lot of soft limitations that will prevent you from going in a straight line. And with that, we have reached the end of the tutorial. This is definitely a very well designed and unique map, and you will probably need some playing experience on this one to fully master it all. But I hope this tutorial will help you get started with that. Just be aware that this is an aggressive map. If you want to play this one, be prepared for conflicts. If you want to loot without conflict, then it's going to be very hard on this map, because that's not what it's designed for. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. Don't forget to leave a like if you do, and subscribe maybe so you don't miss the next one. We got the rest of the maps coming out very soon, and as always, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!